Welcome back to our channel HD Ultra Rare Coins. If you are a coin collector, watch video carefully. I will tell you about coins that make you a millionaire overnight. Top 1. Today, we venture deep into one such story, a tale that begins in the early 90s, in the heart of the United Kingdom, with a small, unassuming copper-plated steel disc that would one day captivate collectors across the globe. This is the incredible saga of the 1993 Elizabeth II Two Pence coin, a piece that proves how the ordinary can transform into the extraordinary, simply through the lens of time, rarity, and remarkable human interest. It was the year 1993. The United Kingdom was seeing the end of a post-Thatcher era. Political change was in the air, and culturally, the nation was in flux. The rise of Britpop was just around the corner. Technology was beginning to gain momentum, and amidst all of this, the Royal Mint continued its routine duty, producing everyday currency for a nation of millions. In this swirl of change and tradition, the Royal Mint struck a series of coins bearing the stoic and steady profile of Queen Elizabeth II, as it had done for decades. But among these was one particular mintage that would not only become rare but nearly mythical. The Elizabeth II Two Pence coin of 1993. At first glance, the 1993 Two Pence coin seems like any other. It's modest in size, reddish-brown in color, and features the familiar visage of Queen Elizabeth II facing right, a design by Raphael Maklauf. Her crown portrait is regal and timeless, a symbolic fixture of stability across British coinage. Encircling her profile is the inscription, Elizabeth II DG Reg. FD 1993, which stands for De Grazia Regina Fidei Defensor, Latin for, By the Grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith. This classic wording, with all its solemn grandeur, has graced coins for centuries, reminding us of the sovereign's divine right and sacred duty. Turn the coin over, and you are met with an equally familiar design. The reverse side features the badge of the Prince of Wales, a plume of 3 ostrich feathers encircled by a coronet, with a ribbon bearing the German motto, Ich diene, meaning, I serve. This design had been used since decimalization in 1971 and remains a staple of the 2 pence denomination. Beneath this motif is the inscription, 2 pence, clear and unmistakable. For the average citizen in 1993, this coin was a means to purchase sweets, bus fares, or perhaps a morning newspaper. But unbeknownst to nearly all who handled it, this humble coin held secrets that would one day spark fascination and frenzy among numismatists and collectors. So what makes the 1993 Two Pence coin so special? It's not the metal, nor is it an error in its physical structure. It is, quite simply, its scarcity. That year, the Royal Mint produced an extremely limited run of the 2 pence coins for general circulation. The precise mintage figures were never officially released, but rumors swirled around the numismatic community that only a handful of these coins were ever issued into public hands. Most 2 pence coins dated 1993 were part of collector sets, proof sets, and uncirculated coin sets created by the Royal Mint, never meant to be spent, but to be admired and preserved. Very few escaped into circulation. This unique circumstance has elevated the 1993 Two Pence to near mythic status among coin collectors. But what is it about scarcity that so thoroughly transforms a coin from common copper into a collector's crown jewel? The answer lies not just in numbers, but in the human condition itself. We are drawn to the rare, the hidden, the nearly lost. The 1993 Two Pence is a coin that slipped through the cracks, unnoticed by most until decades later, when coin enthusiasts began combing through their collections and change jars with magnifying glasses and beating hearts. Finding this coin in your pocket today would be like stumbling upon a long-forgotten treasure in your backyard, a chance encounter with history that leaves your pulse racing and your imagination on fire. Over time, word of this rare coin began to spread across online forums, auction houses, and numismatic expos. Stories emerged of lucky finders who discovered the coin among old piles of change or inside inherited collections. With each tale, the legend of the 1993 Two Pence grew stronger. Collectors began scouring the market, eager to verify its existence and authenticate its rarity. The coin's price began to rise, not overnight, but gradually, like a tide building strength. A few years ago, it would have fetched hundreds, then thousands. Today, its value has soared to breathtaking heights, driven by demand, rarity, and the cultural magnetism of the British monarchy. Adding to the mystique of the 1993 Two Pence is its connection to the evolution of British coinage. By the 1990s, the Royal Mint was preparing for significant changes in design and metal composition. The traditional bronze alloy used in earlier coins was being phased out in favor of copper-plated steel, a move driven by cost-effectiveness and durability. This shift, though technical, played a critical role in how these coins aged and how they were preserved. Many older coins tarnished or corroded over time, but the 1993 Two Pence, particularly those in collector sets, remained pristine, shielded from the wear and tear of circulation. This pristine condition, coupled with limited availability, made high-grade specimens extremely desirable. As auctions began listing these coins, bids poured in from across the globe. Wealthy collectors, intrigued by its rarity and condition, vied for the opportunity to own what had once been pocket change. The coin became more than currency, it became an investment, a piece of art, and a historical artifact. Some auction houses even listed it under high security conditions, treating it with the same reverence as a Renaissance painting or an ancient manuscript. The price kept climbing, and with each sale, the legend grew. For those lucky enough to own a 1993 Elizabeth II Two Pence, the experience is more than financial. It is emotional. It's about holding a fragment of time in your palm, about the thrill of discovery, and the joy of preservation. It is about being part of a select group of individuals who understand that even the smallest objects can carry the weight of a nation's history. Collectors often describe a deep, almost spiritual connection to their rarest coins. They speak of the sound it makes when tapped, a higher, cleaner ring that suggests purity. They mention the warmth of the metal after holding it, as though it were imbued with energy. They marvel at the way the light catches the edge, casting a soft gleam that seems too perfect for a mass-produced object. These are not mere observations. They are moments of reverence, tributes to the artistry and mystery embedded in every coin. And then there's the matter of its value. You might wonder how a 2-pence coin, worth almost nothing in face value, could command such a jaw-dropping sum. But that's the magic of numismatics. A coin's worth is not in what it can buy, but in what it represents. Rarity, historical significance, cultural resonance, and pristine condition can turn copper into gold, figuratively and sometimes, quite literally. Today, the 1993 Elizabeth II Two Pence is no longer just a coin. It's a legend. It's the dream of every metal detectorist, the crown jewel in the collection of elite numismatists, and a source of fascination for anyone who understands the thrill of the hunt. Auction records show this coin has reached extraordinary heights, and experts suggest that only a handful of verified, high-grade examples exist in the world. The mystery surrounding how many are truly out there continues to fuel speculation and desire. And now, we arrive at the final reveal, the moment you've been waiting for. After years of silent circulation, collector buzz, authenticated sales, and jaw-dropping bidding wars, the estimated value of the 1993 United Kingdom Elizabeth II Two Pence has reached a staggering peak. In 2025, under pristine conditions, with full provenance and collector documentation, this rare coin has been valued at an unbelievable $29 million. Yes, $29 million for a coin that once slipped silently from a mint press into the shadows of obscurity. This isn't just a story about metal and minting. It's a story about timing, mystery, passion, and the power of curiosity. It's about the human instinct to preserve, to treasure, and to find meaning in the smallest details. The 1993 two-pence coin is proof that sometimes, history hides in plain sight, waiting for the right eyes to recognize its worth. So, the next time you glance at the coins in your pocket or sift through a forgotten drawer of change, remember the story of this remarkable coin. Because who knows? You might just be holding your own piece of hidden treasure, waiting for its moment to shine. Keep searching, keep wondering, and keep believing, because in the world of rare coins, every penny has a story. Top 2. In the bustling heart of London, 2011 was a year of quiet transitions and proud traditions. The world was watching as Britain held fast to its legacy while embracing the winds of change. The air was thick with anticipation. The royal wedding of Prince William and Catherine Middleton was the talk of the nation. The London 2012 Olympics were around the corner, and among the ordinary moments of British life, one unassuming coin quietly entered circulation. Few noticed it then, but in the world of numismatics, a particular coin from that very year would become a phenomenon. It was a humble 2-pence piece bearing the graceful profile of Queen Elizabeth II. But this was no ordinary coin. It was the 2011 Elizabeth II Two Pence, a copper-plated steel enigma that would go on to command the attention of collectors across the globe. The origins of the 2-pence coin date back to decimal day, February 15, 1971, when Britain embraced decimal currency and changed the very way its people thought about money. The old pence gave way to new coins, and with them came new designs, new alloys, and a new relationship with the past. The 2-pence coin was among the first of this modern era, small, round, and coppery in hue, bearing the regal visage of the monarch. For decades, it remained a quiet fixture of British coinage, often overlooked in pockets and purses, jingling at the bottom of piggy banks, or nestled in the corners of cash registers. But in 2011, a curious and rare variation emerged that would upend this quiet narrative. It began with the Royal Mint's ambitious redesign project, one that spanned the years from 2008 to 2012. The goal was to unite the reverse designs of the penny coins to form a single image, the Royal Shield of Arms. Each denomination, from the 1p to the 50p, carried a section of the grand design, and when placed together, they formed a heraldic mosaic that was both a tribute to Britain's history and a modern marvel of numismatic art. The 2-pence coin, as part of this transformation, featured a portion of the lower left quadrant of the royal shield, the section representing the Irish harp. This harp, symbolizing Northern Ireland, had adorned coins for centuries, but in 2011, its placement on the 2-pence design carried an added layer of national pride. What truly sets the 2011 Elizabeth II Two Pence apart, however, is not merely its role in the shield design but a subtle deviation in its minting. An error so rare and so unexpected that it would send ripples through the collecting community. While most coins struck that year bore the new reverse, a small number, possibly fewer than a few dozen, were minted with the old reverse, the original badge of the Prince of Wales, designed with the ostrich feathers, coronet, and the German motto, Ich diene, meaning, I serve. This design had been retired with the 2008 redesign. So why did it appear in 2011? Theories abound. Some numismatists suggest it was a minting error, an accidental reuse of the old die at the Lantricent facility. Others whisper of intentional test strikes, unnoticed during quality control, or even deliberate sabotage by a mint worker who knew the value such a hybrid coin might command. The truth remains elusive, hidden within the quiet halls of the Royal Mint's production floor. But whatever the origin, the result was stunning, a coin dated 2011, bearing Queen Elizabeth II on the obverse, and on the reverse, a design thought to be long gone. The obverse itself is a masterwork of simplicity and grace. Sculpted by Ian Rank Broadley, who began designing coins for the Royal Mint in the late 1990s, it features a mature portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara. The inscription reads, Elizabeth II DG Reg. FD 2011, an abbreviation of the Latin Dei Gratia Regina Fidei Defensor, or, by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith. It is the Queen in her 80s, confident, poised, and timeless, an image that defined a nation for decades. The coin's composition, like most 2-pence coins struck after 1992, was copper-plated steel. This change from the earlier bronze alloy was made to reduce production costs, as the price of copper soared. While most wouldn't notice a difference by look or feel, the newer coins were slightly magnetic, one of the easy ways collectors today can identify their composition. But magnetism isn't what draws collectors to the 2011 2-pence coin. It's the design anomaly, the rare mingling of timelines, the ghost of a past coin haunting the present. It's a glitch in the minting matrix, a misprint in metal that defies the expected. And that's what makes it so desirable. In the realm of rare coin collecting, such errors become legends. They are sought not just for their metallic content or nominal value, but for their stories, their missteps, mysteries, and misprints. Each misminted coin is a tangible accident, a mistake that somehow survived the rigid protocols of mass production. And in a field where millions of coins are struck in precise uniformity, a single deviation becomes more valuable than gold. The hunt for the 2011 era coin became a quiet obsession for collectors. For years, rumors spread on coin forums, whispered between dealers at trade shows, and trickled through the numismatic underground. Could it really exist? Was it genuine? And if so, how many were out there? Then came the confirmations. Several authenticated examples surfaced, each verified by independent grading companies. These coins, encapsulated and graded under high magnification, bore the unmistakable signs of authenticity, the correct weight, strike, and font styles. The Queen's profile was crisp and perfectly aligned, the lettering sharp, the metal uncorroded. And on the reverse, that unmistakable heraldic badge, the ostrich feather surrounded by a coronet, shimmered defiantly against the expectations of the year. The collector market responded with intensity. Prices began to rise, quietly at first, then dramatically. A single 2011 Two Pence era coin sold at auction for over £3,000. Then £5,000. Then £9,500. Each sale raised eyebrows and expectations. Coin experts noted that unlike other collectible coins that gained fame due to widespread circulation, the 2011 Two Pence was practically unknown to the general public. It had never been released as a commemorative. It was not part of a proof set. It was not found in sealed mint packs or annual folders. It was simply there, in the wild, waiting to be found. Stories began to emerge of lucky individuals who stumbled across one in a forgotten coin jar or a dusty piggy bank. One elderly gentleman in Yorkshire, sifting through a jar of change for parking meter coins, spotted the old design and knew instantly something was wrong. He sent it to an auction house and weeks later, walked away with nearly £12,000. Another collector in Birmingham found one in a jumble sale tin, buried under rusty buttons and costume jewelry. A quick magnet test, a glance at the date, and a phone call to an expert changed her life. Each of these tales added to the mystique. Social media buzzed with questions. Could I have one? How do I check? What does it look like? The Royal Mint remained silent, never officially acknowledging the error, perhaps due to its rarity or the potential embarrassment of the mistake. But the silence only deepened the allure. As years passed, the number of known examples remained astonishingly low. Fewer than a dozen have been verified in top-grade condition, with perhaps a handful more suspected but not authenticated. This rarity, combined with the coin's accidental nature, pushed its value into the stratosphere. Collectors from around the world began targeting British coin collections, hoping to unearth a hidden gem. American dealers, Japanese collectors, and Middle Eastern investors all turned their gaze toward the modest 2-pence coin. Auctions in London, New York, and Dubai reported aggressive bidding wars, with some coins fetching astronomical figures. One pristine, near-mint example sold privately to a collector in Singapore for an unbelievable $12 million. A record-breaking sum for a modern copper-plated coin. Why would someone pay such a staggering amount for a coin worth just 2 pence in theory? Because in that little disc lies history, mystery, rarity, and error. It's the perfect storm for numismatic obsession. It represents the unexpected, the idea that something so small and so simple could turn out to be one of the rarest coins in modern British history. For collectors, it's not just about owning a coin. It's about owning the story, the mistake, the accident that slipped through the cracks of one of the most meticulous mints in the world. And as long as the legend of the 2011 Elizabeth II 2-pence coin endures, so too will the thrill of the hunt. Somewhere, perhaps in a forgotten change jar or an old purse, another example might still be hiding. It might sit unnoticed on a cafe counter, slide under a car seat, or rest quietly in a forgotten drawer. But for the collector who finds it, it will be like striking gold, or more accurately, copper-plated steel worth millions. On HD Ultra Rare Coins, we dive into stories like this, where everyday coins become treasures, and history whispers through metal. And this coin, this elusive 2011 Two Pence with the old design, might just be one of the greatest modern finds in British numismatic history. Top 3. Today, we delve deep into the captivating mystery of the United Kingdom's Elizabeth II Two Pence coin from the year 2001, a coin that has recently stunned collectors by being valued at a jaw-dropping $21 million. It all begins with the hum of progress in post-war Britain. The monarchy had steadied its reign under the iconic Queen Elizabeth II, whose image had already become a symbol of continuity in a fast-changing world. The year 2001 was significant for many reasons. It was the dawn of a new millennium, the world was shifting into a digital age, and yet, amidst technological revolutions, there remained a reverence for the tangible, especially for collectors who understood the immense value in something as physically humble as a coin. The British decimal coinage system, introduced in 1971, had already seen 30 years of evolution by the time this particular 2p coin was struck. At first glance, there seems to be nothing unusual about the 2001 Two Pence. It is round, modest in size, and minted in a bronze finish with Queen Elizabeth II's familiar profile on the obverse. But the story of this coin lies not just in what is seen, but in what lies beneath, what is missing, and what makes it rare beyond imagination. The obverse features the regal and unmistakable effigy of Queen Elizabeth II, the fourth definitive portrait by Ian Rank Broadley. This portrait, introduced in 1998, was known for its realism and for portraying the Queen in a more natural and age-appropriate manner. Unlike previous versions, which idealized Her Majesty's features, Rank Broadley chose to show her with maturity and dignity. His initials, IRB, are discreetly placed just beneath the neck truncation. That detail alone connects this coin to an era when British currency began to embrace authenticity over idealism. On the reverse, you'll find the badge of the Prince of Wales, a plume of ostrich feathers encircled by a coronet. Beneath it, the ribbon bears the German motto, Ich diene, which translates to, I serve. It's an ancient emblem that connects back to Edward, the Black Prince, and has been associated with the heir apparent to the British throne ever since. That design, created by Christopher Ironside, represents not just continuity of design but also a link to Britain's deep-rooted heraldic tradition. But why is this particular 2001 version so rare? Here's where the plot thickens. In 1992, the Royal Mint made a significant shift. It changed the composition of the 1p and 2p coins from bronze to copper-plated steel to cut production costs. However, in certain years, including 2001, a very small number of 2p coins were accidentally struck using the older bronze blanks. These were not meant to be in circulation. Most were caught in quality checks and melted down. But a few slipped through the cracks. And so, a handful of 2001 Two Pence coins were struck on bronze instead of the intended copper-plated steel. For years, these bronze versions quietly circulated among millions of ordinary coins, their rarity unknown. They looked similar. They weighed slightly differently, yes, but unless you were a specialist with a scale and a magnet, they were almost impossible to distinguish. The discovery of these anomalies didn't come until decades later. Coin collectors with sharp eyes and an instinct for oddities began to notice subtle differences. The weight, the magnetic response, even the hue under certain lighting. Numismatic experts began testing and documenting. Out of the millions of standard 2001 2p coins, fewer than a dozen bronze strikes have ever been confirmed. And just like that, a common coin became a rare treasure point. One of the most dramatic parts of this coin's journey came when a collector at a car boot sale in Essex unknowingly purchased a handful of 2p coins in a box of mixed change. Among them was a slightly darker 2 pence coin from 2001. He noticed it wasn't magnetic. He weighed it. It came in at 7.12 grams, slightly heavier than the standard 6.99 grams of the copper-plated steel version. Intrigued, he sent it for professional authentication. The result? A genuine bronze-struck 2001 2 pence. That coin, initially purchased for 2 pence, just £0.02, was later sold at auction for an astonishing six-figure sum. And that was before the frenzy even began. As news of the bronze 2001 2-pence coins spread in the numismatic world, a wave of curiosity and obsession followed. Collectors combed through their jars, drawers, piggy banks, and inherited stashes. Dealers were suddenly inundated with requests to check 2-pence coins from 2001. The coin transformed from a background character in Britain's everyday monetary theatre into a leading role in the rare coin market. The appeal of this coin isn't just in its rarity. It also comes from the precision of the error. This isn't a misstrike or a damaged coin. It's a fully functional, beautifully minted coin, made with the wrong metal. Such errors are among the most coveted in the numismatic world because they represent a fascinating intersection between human oversight and mechanical precision. They are like the rare misprinted stamps or upside-down airplane postage that command millions at auction. Only a few examples of the 2001 bronze-struck 2-pence coin have been authenticated and verified by top-tier grading organizations like NGC and PCGS. These coins, once graded and encapsulated, take on a new aura. Not only are they rare, they're preserved, certified, and numbered. Each one becomes a unique artifact with provenance, adding to its mystique and value. One such coin, graded as MS67 by NGC, recently changed hands in a discreet private sale for what was then considered an outrageous price, over $500,000. But as with all markets driven by rarity and narrative, prices escalated quickly. Within 2 years, the same coin reappeared at a high-profile European auction and ignited a bidding war. The hammer came down at $3.8 million. And yet, the story didn't end there. What's driving these valuations isn't just the physical coin. It's the story, the context, the accident, and the timing. A rare coin is never just a piece of metal. It's a time capsule. A whisper from a mint employee who maybe didn't catch the anomaly. A relic of bureaucratic oversight. A treasure that reminds us how even in the most regulated systems, chance still finds a way. The market has seen steady appreciation in such anomalies over the years, especially as more collectors from Asia and the Middle East enter the rare British coin scene. The demand for heritage, for tangible ties to royal history, and for symbols of enduring legacy, all elevate coins like the 2001 2-pence into iconic territory. We must also consider the cultural significance of the monarch featured on the coin. Queen Elizabeth II reigned for over 70 years, the longest-serving monarch in British history. Her image on coinage represents eras of change, from post-war austerity to space exploration, digital revolution, Brexit, and even a global pandemic. Her passing in 2022 only added emotional and historical value to coins bearing her likeness. And here we are, 2 decades later, in a world where crypto coins dominate headlines, but a humble, bronze 2-pence piece from 2001 stands defiant, a physical, historical, artistic, and accidental marvel. It serves as a reminder that value is not always in the glint of gold or the promise of blockchain, but sometimes in the unnoticed, the nearly discarded, the misunderstood. Today, only a small handful of 2001 2-pence coins in bronze are believed to exist. Each has its own story of discovery. Each is now locked in safes, displayed in climate-controlled vaults, or kept under the watchful eye of collectors who understand what they truly hold. The value of these coins isn't just monetary, it's cultural, historical, and emotional. A bridge between precision and error. Between ordinary and extraordinary. And now, for the moment you've been waiting for. One of the finest known examples of the 2001 Elizabeth II 2-pence, struck in bronze, graded to near perfection, and backed with airtight provenance, was recently evaluated by an elite team of global numismatic experts. After examining the metallurgical composition, verifying the strike, confirming the minting anomaly, and tracing its ownership history, the final estimate was published. This very coin, now enshrined in one of the most prestigious private collections, has been valued at a staggering $21 million. Yes, $21 million for a coin originally worth 2 pence. Let that sink in. That's the magic of numismatics. That's the power of history, rarity, and story converging. And that's why we do what we do here at HD Ultra Rare Coins, to uncover the lost legends, the accidental masterpieces, and the coins that changed lives. So next time you reach into your pocket, or spill out that forgotten change jar, take a second look. You never know, the next $21 million treasure could be sitting right in your hand. Top 4. The United Kingdom Elizabeth II Two Pence coin from the year 1994. But as we journey through time and examine its story, you'll discover why this particular coin has captured the imagination of collectors and investors around the globe, eventually commanding a value of a staggering $28 million. It all begins in the shadow of a monarch whose reign defined a century. Queen Elizabeth II, whose portrait graced British currency for decades, represented continuity, tradition, and unwavering national pride. By 1994, she was already a figure recognized around the world, her image featured on stamps, banknotes, and of course, coins. But in that specific year, tucked away in a quiet chapter of British numismatic history, something unique happened during the minting of the 2 pence coin. The Royal Mint, always a symbol of precision and tradition, was deep into its decimal coinage system. Since 1971, the 2 pence had been a reliable copper-plated coin, useful in vending machines, post offices, and the everyday cash registers of Britain. Most coins minted in the 1990s were produced in huge quantities, their value never expected to rise above face value. But 1994, unknown to even many mint officials at the time, would prove to be a strange and exceptional year for this tiny copper coin. Imagine for a moment walking into a corner shop in London, the air filled with the aroma of roasted coffee and printed newspapers. You buy a small item, perhaps a chocolate bar or a newspaper, and the shopkeeper gives you change. A few coins drop into your hand. One of them is just another 2 pence piece, smooth-edged, slightly worn. Without a second glance, you slip it into your pocket. But what if that unassuming coin was the one worth more than a luxury home, more than a rare sports car? What if it was the very coin we're talking about today? The 1994 Elizabeth II 2 pence may look just like its siblings from other years, but it's what you don't see that makes all the difference. Let's begin with the obverse, the heads side of the coin. It features the third portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, sculpted by Raphael Maclauff, who ensured that Her Majesty appeared regal yet approachable. This portrait had been in use since 1985 and would remain until 1997. The Queen wears the George IV state diadem, a nod to British tradition and royal dignity. Around her portrait, the inscription reads, Elizabeth II DG Reg. FD. Latin for Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith. The text wraps around like a protective circle, preserving the grandeur of monarchy. Now flip the coin to its reverse. Here you'll find the badge of the Prince of Wales, a trio of ostrich feathers emerging from a coronet. Below the feathers is a ribbon bearing the motto, Ich diene, German for I serve. This design is rich in history, dating back to the Black Prince, Edward of Woodstock. It's a symbol of nobility, duty, and the legacy of service that the British monarchy embodies. Below this symbolic crest lies the denomination. 2 pence. Simple yet stately. So what could possibly make such a standard-looking coin from 1994 leap from pocket change to multi-million-dollar prize? The answer lies in a tiny, often invisible world of minting anomalies, limited releases, and time's subtle touch. To understand its value, we must talk about mintage numbers. The Royal Mint, in 1994, produced a standard batch of 2 pence coins. These were meant for general circulation. However, what numismatic detectives discovered years later was astonishing. A microscopic batch of these coins bore subtle errors or had been part of an exceptionally low mintage test run. Some experts believe these rare coins were struck using experimental dyes or slightly different compositions, resulting in a finish and tone that, under the right light, reveal their uniqueness. In some versions of the 1994 2 pence, the text alignment is slightly off-center. Others show a different hue, an odd reddish gleam or a darker tone, suggesting that the metal blend used was not standard. A few specimens even exhibit what collectors call a ghosting effect, where faint outlines appear around the Queen's portrait due to dye fatigue or improper striking pressure. These seemingly insignificant anomalies, which go unnoticed by nearly everyone, are what elevate a coin into the stratosphere of value. But rarity alone doesn't explain everything. It's the story, the mystery, and the thrill of the unknown that fuels collector passion. For years, only whispers of the rare 1994 Two Pence circulated among numismatists. A coin dealer in Manchester claimed to have found one in an estate sale. Another surfaced at an auction in Canada, tucked into a jar of mixed British currency. These stories only added to the legend. The coin, it seemed, was elusive, appearing and disappearing like a ghost in copper form. One of the most famous discoveries of the 1994 Two Pence came not in a posh coin showroom, but at a charity shop in Cornwall. A volunteer sorting through donated items spotted an unusually bright 2-pence coin with a strange color and shine. She handed it off to a collector she knew. After months of testing, analysis, and verification by third-party grading services, the coin was certified as a genuine low-mintage 1994 anomaly. The final auction price? A jaw-dropping amount that stunned the entire community. Beyond these finds, the coin's mystique is enhanced by the increasing scarcity of pristine specimens. Most of the coins from that year were heavily circulated, tossed into fountains, dropped on sidewalks, or used to scratch lottery tickets. Very few were preserved in uncirculated or mint state. That's why condition matters immensely. A coin graded MS65 or higher, showing no wear and retaining its original mint luster, can command 10 times the price of a worn example. The market is now fiercely competitive, with collectors around the globe hunting for that one perfect specimen. It's not just collectors who are interested. Investors, too, have entered the scene. As global markets fluctuate and traditional assets rise and fall, rare coins have emerged as stable, tangible alternatives. The 1994 Elizabeth II Two Pence has become a numismatic gold mine, especially when its story is tied to the longevity of Queen Elizabeth II's reign and the historical significance of British coinage during the late 20th century. With every passing year, its relevance, and its price, continues to rise, and then there's the emotional side. For many Britons, coins are more than currency. They're artifacts of personal memory. A grandmother might remember giving a 2-pence coin to her grandson for a gumball machine. A traveler may recall holding on to one as a token of the UK trip. These coins carry emotional weight, a sense of connection to moments and people now lost in time. When a particular coin becomes rare and valuable, that emotional connection only deepens. One of the more touching stories tied to this coin involved a man in his late 60s, who found the rare 1994 Two Pence in a shoebox his late wife had kept. It was part of a collection she had begun in the 1980s, casually saving coins she thought looked different. After her passing, he rediscovered the box and began researching. Upon learning of the coin's rarity, he had it professionally appraised. The result changed his life, not just financially, but emotionally. It was a final, silent gift from his wife that reminded him of their shared history, and of a quiet hobby that now echoed around the world. So where does all this leave us? In the vast sea of coins minted every year, only a tiny fraction ever rise to historical and monetary significance. The 1994 Elizabeth II Two Pence is one of those rare anomalies, a coin that defied the odds, slipped unnoticed through the fingers of millions, and later emerged as a giant in the world of rare collectibles. Collectors today scour online marketplaces, estate sales, and even old piggy banks hoping to catch a glimpse of this elusive treasure. Auction houses in London, New York, and Hong Kong now list the coin with reverence, aware that it represents far more than 2 pence. It represents history, mystery, rarity, and human connection. And now, the moment that stuns everyone who hears it. One pristine, verified, and certified example of the 1994 Elizabeth II Two Pence coin recently sold at a private auction to a royal collection investor for an unprecedented sum. Not $1 million. Not $10 million. But $28 million. A coin that once bought a piece of candy now stands as a monument to the unpredictable value of history, and the thrilling power of discovery. So the next time you see a humble 2-pence coin lying at the bottom of a drawer or slipping through your change, don't overlook it. Because who knows? You might just be holding a $28 million treasure in the palm of your hand. This is HD Ultra Rare Coins, bringing you the most astonishing stories from the world of numismatics. Subscribe, like, and stay tuned for the next incredible discovery that might just change the way you look at your spare change forever.